Hey, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Dean Kulaweera here. Hope everyone is doing great and fantastic. Thank you so much for tuning in. And my apologies, I did not do the live stream last week. I just recently got back from, last week I got back from like my first real vacation after like almost 5 years. Well, maybe 4.5 years, like my first real vacation. So I was on this cruise to Alaska. Had a great time, and folks, Alaska is just so damn beautiful. Like honestly, like it's just gorgeous out there. And had such a great time. If you want to see some of the pictures, I posted a few pictures from my trip on my Instagram. So feel free to check me out on check out my Instagram page if you want to see some of the pictures I posted. But it was a beautiful place. Even got to do a little bit of gold panning. Collect a little bit of these little pieces of gold here. Might even quit my job as a recruiter and go out and become a gold panner. Right? You never know. But anyway, I had a great time, and after getting back last week, I got a bit under the weather, so that's why I couldn't do my live stream last week. But I am back at it this week. So look, I hope you're doing great. Hope you're doing fantastic. Don't feel shy. Feel free to introduce yourself in the comments. Quick shout out to everyone on tuning in on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter as well. So mark your calendars and make sure you tune in every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Eastern time zone, where I talk about various happenings in the job market and job search tips, advice, strategies, all that good stuff. And where I also respond to your questions, your concerns, your thoughts, your perspective, your experiences, whether on the hiring side of things or on the job seeker, job search side of things as well, right? So that's what I'm here to do, to kind of give back and help you folks out with any questions you might have as well. So before I get into that, just wanted to give you a heads up. By the way, before I get into what I was about to say, if you want to follow me on any of my other social channels, feel free to check out the link. It's in the scrolling thing here. My Linktree page has all my social links. So head on over to linktr.ee/DK Tech Recruiter, linktr.ee/DK Tech Recruiter for all my social links, if you want to check out my other social media channels as well. So with that being said, I wanted to give you folks a heads up that this Saturday I will be speaking. I will be doing a keynote at the PMI Lakeshore Ontario chapter's annual virtual career day. Really, really excited about it. Really looking forward to it. And it's not just going to be myself. There's going to be some other amazing career coaches and presenters as well. You're also going to get a chance to, I believe you're going to have a chance to have some one-on-ones with some of the other recruiters that will be present. I will be opening up the session. I think my part's going to start at, I think it's at like 10 o'clock, 10:15, something like that. So I'm going to be opening up with my keynote. I'm going to be speaking about and sharing some amazing tips and advice on how you can more effectively manage your communications and interactions with recruiters, right? This is a very important topic, folks. And as far as I know, not too many people speaking about these various aspects that I'm going to be speaking about. So make sure you definitely tune in. If you want more details about registering, just make sure you understand that tomorrow is the deadline for registering for this event. Okay, the deadline is tomorrow, which is Thursday, September 15th at 8 p.m. Eastern time zone. I think if you're a member of this PMI chapter, I think it's only $5 if you want to sign up. If you're not a member, it's only $15. Still very affordable for those of you out there who want to know how to better handle and manage your interactions with recruiters. And it's going to be an amazing event. So I'm going to be presenting my segment for 45 minutes. And then after that, there's going to be a 15-minute Q&A where you folks get to ask me your questions. Like I'm not sure how they're going to coordinate that, but it's going to be a live Q&A. So you ask me your questions, I'll respond to your questions. And I just want to share with you real quick what I will be covering in my keynote, because it's going to be such a great session. I'm so excited about this because I'm going to be covering so much ground. But I'm going to be covering, first of all, why you should care about your interaction with recruiters, right? I mean, recruiters are not the decision makers. They don't make the final hiring decision, but there's still very important reasons as to why you should consider it a very, very, very important conversation when you're interacting with recruiters as part of your job search. I'm also going to be covering what I call the two factors rule. I'm going to be covering the job seeker's dilemma and how you need to switch that around. I'm going to be covering the 4 components to an introductory message, email, or phone call with a recruiter, whether you're initiating it or whether they're calling you and you're providing your introduction. The 4 components to a very powerful, effective introductory message, email, or phone call. I'm also going to be covering the importance of your first 30 seconds on the pre-screen with a recruiter and what questions you need to be asking the recruiter to kind of set the stage for a successful conversation. I'm also going to be covering overcoming common objections such as, hey, you're overqualified for this position, you're underqualified for the position, and several of those common objections you will be facing. I'm also going to be covering how you can minimize getting ghosted, and I'm also going to be covering key tough questions that you got to be asking that's going to help you move further along the process. All right, so it's going to be a jam-packed session. I hope to see you there. Again, more information about that, go to the featured section on my LinkedIn profile after today's stream. I think right now it's the first post in the featured section. Click on that, and in the comments there's a link to the registration page. And again, folks, don't say I didn't warn you, but the deadline for registering, and I'm not the one who put the deadline. It's PMI, Lakeshore chapter. They said they're the ones setting the deadline. The deadline is tomorrow, September 15th, which is Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern time zone. So make sure you sign up. Hope to see you there. Get ready to take notes, folks. It's going to be an action jam-packed session with a whole bunch of information. So with that being said, let's get into what I wanted to cover today, and that is I want to kind of opening up by sharing with you. Statistics Canada recently released their August 2022 labor force survey. So I just want to share with you the highlights from that information they released. So what they're saying in the labor force survey for August is employment is down in August. So we got employment decreased by 40,000, which is negative 0.2% in August, bringing cumulative decline since May 2022 to 114,000, which is negative 0.6%. Employment fell among youth aged 15 to 24 in August, so that's a loss of 25,000 or negative 0.9%, primarily among young women, as well as among people aged 55 to 64. That's a loss of 34,000 or negative 1%. It was little changed among those aged 25 to 54. Employment gains in various industries, including other services in quotes, a positive of 15,000 or plus 2.2%, and professional, scientific, and technical services had a gain of 14,000 or plus 0.8%, were more than offset by declines in educational services with a loss of 50,000 or negative 3.3%, and construction at a loss of 28,000 or negative 1.8%. It goes on to say there were fewer public sector employees in August with a loss of 28,000 or negative 0.6%, while the number of employees in the private sector and the number of self-employed workers held steady. Employment fell in British Columbia, Manitoba, and Nova Scotia, while it increased in Quebec. There was little change in the other provinces. Total hours worked were unchanged in August. The average hourly wages of employees rose 5.4%, which an additional $1.60 to $31.33 on a year-over-year basis in August, compared with 5.2% in both June and July, not seasonally adjusted. Unemployment rate rises for the first time in 7 months. The unemployment rate was 5.4% in August, up 0.5 percentage points from the record low of 4.9% observed in June and July. Bit of a jump there. The adjusted unemployment rate, which includes people who wanted a job but did not look for one, rose 0.5 percentage points to 7.3% in August due to the rise in the number of unemployed. In the spotlight, in August, there's more than 1 in 10 or 11.9% permanent employees were planning to leave their job within the next 12 months, and 5.5 percentage points higher than in January 2022, not seasonally adjusted. There were 307,000 Canadians in August who had left their job in order to retire at some point in the last year, up from 233,000 1 year earlier and from 273,000 in August 2019, not seasonally adjusted. The unemployment rate for immigrants who had arrived in Canada within the past 5 years was lower in August 2022, or 7.6%, than in any month of August since comparable data became available in 2006. 3-month moving average, not seasonally adjusted. So that's just an overview. And by the way, if you want to see these results, I didn't come up with these myself. This was released by Statistics Canada in their recently released labor force survey for August 2022. So just head on over to the Statistics Canada website if you want to read the entire report there. So just wanted to give you folks kind of a breakdown on that. Now, moving on to today's highlights this week in the news. And you can see this on your LinkedIn dashboard as well for those of you who check that on LinkedIn. But Ben Cousins, editor at LinkedIn News, wrote an article. RBC predicts an economic downturn. And Ben says the Royal Bank of Canada finds a soft landing from an economic downturn to be unrealistic. In a note on Monday, the bank's senior economist Josh Nye said rate increases meant to shock the economy do not guarantee that Canada avoids a recession and could mean a soft landing is becoming a distant prospect. Nye also predicted Canada, the US, and the UK would see an economic downturn later this year or in 2023. Now, this is the kind of pretty much the opposite of what was said by Scotiabank CEO Brian Porter, who said, I believe it was last week, said that he doesn't see the conditions needed for a recession. So these are like two major banks, folks, right? You got RBC saying, yeah, we're predicting that there's going to be an economic downturn, and then we got a Scotiabank saying, we don't see the conditions needed for a recession. So I mean, which do we believe, right? I mean, let me know in the comments what you folks think about this. We got one major bank saying that there will be they are predicting an economic downturn. Another one saying that it's highly unlikely. The reason why I wanted to bring this up, folks, is that look, the media is gonna put a whole bunch of stuff out right now. Okay, like I mean, we're gonna see these things over the next couple of weeks, over the next couple of months. And I mean, I don't know what their agendas are, folks. I mean, who knows what the agenda is for either of these major banks, or whether it is indeed the fact that we are going to be heading into a recession or not. But why I want to bring this to your attention is we got to prepare for the worst case scenario. Okay, whether you're an organization, whether you're part of an HR department, whether you're part of you're just someone working at a company, you're in IT, you're in tech, you're not in tech, you're in some totally different industry. Whatever the case is, folks, I personally truly believe that we have to always prepare for the worst case scenario. Okay, whether or not that happens, whether or not the worst case scenario happens, it is the smart, intelligent thing for us to do is to prepare for the worst case scenario. So what is your worst case scenario, folks? Right? If you're taking notes, I want you to do this as an exercise. I do this as an exercise like all the time, at least once a week. Right? I figure out what is my worst case scenario. Because I mean, from my perspective, I'm a business owner, right? Like I got to figure out what is my worst case scenario if I don't get any new roles from my clients, right? Because I got a recruitment business. What if my current clients, they start slashing their hiring needs, right? They're like, okay, we're gonna be pausing hiring. We're not gonna be doing this. We're not gonna be doing that. What is my worst case scenario as a business owner? Like I got to figure these things out, right? Us sticking our heads in the ground or living in some dreamland and thinking, hey, everything's going to be nice and wonderful and lovely. That's not going to help. Now, I'm not saying be negative. That's not what I'm saying here, folks. Like you want to stay positive. You want to think positive. You want to approach life with a positive attitude and all that stuff. Of course, you want to do that. But at the same time, you don't want to be so positive that you're ignoring reality as it confronts you, right? We have to confront potential situations in the future that might hold us back, which brings me on to the next news item, right? Everyone's probably heard about SkipTheDishes laying off 350 of its staff. Now, for those of you who are maybe outside of Canada, SkipTheDishes is basically our equivalent, our Canadian equivalent of Uber Eats, right? Uber Eats is still very popular here in Canada, at least definitely in Toronto for sure. And I'm not sure if SkipTheDishes even exists outside of Canada. I'm not sure. Maybe it is. Maybe my American friends out there are aware of who and what SkipTheDishes is. But another article by Ben Cousins, editor at LinkedIn News. Ben says food delivery service SkipTheDishes has laid off about 350 workers in the Winnipeg area as the company looks for sustainable growth. Just Eat Takeaway, the parent company of SkipTheDishes, said the move comes as it looks to shrink its logistics team in Canada. Those laid off were primarily remote workers based in Winnipeg. A company spokesperson told CTV News this is the latest in a wave of tech industry layoffs in Canada, which already include cuts at Shopify, Hootsuite, and Clearco, among others. So, look, folks, we're going to be hearing about this bad news, all right? This bad news, we're going to be hearing about this stuff. I mean, we got to expect these things over the next couple of weeks, months. Like we've been hearing about these layoffs through and through, like, right? I mean, these are going to be happening. But the major thing that, again, like I said, you got to figure out what is your worst case scenario, right? If you're currently employed, what is your worst case scenario? If you were, God forbid, a part of layoffs, right? And I hope that doesn't happen to anyone out there that is watching. But we have to confront the fact that these situations might occur, right? If indeed we are going into an economic downturn, we have to be prepared for how we're going to handle this, right? And how it's going to affect us personally. So you got to figure out what is your worst case scenario, and you got to confront your worst case scenario. At least if you confront it, you're going to know how to deal with it if it doesn't happen. I'm not saying think negative. I'm not saying expect the negative stuff to happen, but you got to prepare for it. If you can prepare for it, if you can confront it, at least you're going to have a plan on as to how you're going to deal with it if indeed it does occur and if it does happen, right? That's the point I'm trying to make here. We got Peter who says maybe they move to AI solutions in logistics. Yeah, I'm not sure about the details about that, Peter, in terms of what happens with Skip the Dishes, but apparently, yeah, these layoffs occurred in their logistics team. So I'm not sure if it's because they're making a move to AI solutions. I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure of the details, but yeah, I mean, this is something, folks, that we have to all kind of do and look into and examine, right? You got to figure out if what based on your skill set, based on your expertise, whatever your area of expertise is, you got to figure out, will my skill set, will people with my skill set, my experiences, my knowledge, my experiences, will I be affected by XYZ, whatever XYZ is? Maybe it's a recession, maybe it's layoffs, maybe it's a decrease in demand for people with your skill sets. I don't know, right? Like we got to consider these various situations and scenarios as they occur, so that we're prepared for. Again, it comes down to that worst case scenario. Are you prepared for that worst case scenario? But thanks for your comment there, Peter. We got Jack Unger who says, "How could one expect this bad news to continue Q2 2023?" Well, based on what I've read, Jack, and again, I'm not trying to, I'm kind of hesitant to respond to that, Jack, because I don't want to be the ones. I don't like contributing to negativity, because I believe in staying positive and all that stuff. But from what I've read, they're saying that we should expect a recession based on that article by RBC. I read a bit more into it, and they're saying that we should expect a recession by late 2022 this year, or by Q1 2023, right? That's when they're expecting things to kind of go into an actual recession. So in terms of how long we can expect this to happen, I mean, I don't know, Jack, right? I mean, clearly there are layoffs occurring across the board, especially in IT, and we've been hearing about those across the board at various companies. But I think the real question, Jack, is it comes down to an individual level. Like we got to examine how we're going to be affected, based on ourselves as individuals, and our skill sets and our experience and all that stuff. And we gotta make sure that we're preparing and figuring out, which parts of the market is going to be affected by these layoffs and these situations that are occurring, and how we're going to adapt to them, right? I mean, that is definitely the main thing, which brings me to my second point, which I wanted to share with you folks, is we gotta all of us pay close attention to consumer and business behavior at this point, right? Where are people spending their money? Where are people diverting their money, their resources, their attention to? Where are businesses realigning their investments, their resources, their money and attention to, right? As a general rule, what I like to think of is, typically where money flows, where money goes, where investments goes, like that's where we got to be focusing our attention on for opportunities, right? Now, obviously, there are certain opportunities created through problems and challenges and issues and things like that. But at the same time, we got to pay attention to where are people investing their money? Where are businesses investing their money? Because that's probably going to be where the opportunities are, right? I mean, if a business is investing money into certain types of projects or certain types of things going on right now, then that should be a clue to us as to where potential opportunities might exist, right? I mean, if you hear about a business investing in I don't know, say certain types of projects, and you're hearing about this, you're doing your research, you're researching this on the news, or maybe you're finding about this through word of mouth, the word on the street and all that stuff. If you're noticing that certain types of projects are getting a whole bunch of investment right now, like that might be a clue as to areas you want to look into if you're actively job seeking, right? So maybe there's a whole bunch of interest right now in Peter mentioned AI solutions, right? So maybe you got to figure out, okay, based on my skill set, how can I contribute something to those types of projects? Maybe you're a programmer, maybe you're a developer, maybe you're a business analyst, maybe you're a project manager, whatever the case is. How can you make a shift into these potential areas that will sustain demand even during a recession, right? So maybe there are layoffs and bad stuff happening in one area, but there's also investments and demand increasing in other areas, right? Maybe not significant, but there's still action going on, folks, right? That's the point I'm trying to make here. So you gotta pay close attention to the news. Obviously, you gotta pay close attention to the news, what's happening out there, market conditions, all that stuff. But using it as a source of data for yourself that you can actually use and leverage, so you can make those pivots in your career, your job search, your job change, or anything like that. So don't watch the news and be like, oh my god, things are hitting the fan, we're heading into a recession. No, I mean, that's not going to help you at all. It's just going to put you into panic mode, and it just spreading that negative. I mean, it's not going to help you, right? What you want to do is pay attention to these things and figure out where is the opportunity, where is the opportunity shifting to, how can I make use of these current times that we're in, these changes that are happening, so you can make those pivots and those changes and see if you can position yourself in those areas that are actually increasing in opportunities, right? Because businesses are going to pivot, consumer habits, consumer attitudes, these things are all going to pivot, and they're going to go into some other area, right? So you just got to figure out what those areas are and how you can potentially put yourself in those situations where you can maybe take advantage of uh, these new opportunities, or this change in requirements or change in opportunities that are occurring. So we got Jack says, interesting, thanks. Yeah, no worries, Jack. Peter says, regarding consumer behavior in Europe in the next few months, the money of people will goes to energy bills. Yeah, so I mean, look, you might want to look in. I know that is partially funny, and at the same time, it's kind of stressful to people who are experiencing an increase in their energy bills and all that. But at the same time, you might want to look into opportunities within that sector, because look, obviously, if prices are going up in that sector, or there's more a sustained demand for those services in that area, there's probably more opportunities in that area as well, right? Because obviously, that sector, the energy sector, is not obviously they're not experiencing a decrease in demand. People need energy. They need to pay. They need their heat, their air conditioning, or whatever it is, water and all that stuff. So in that industry that supports the utilities, I mean, you're going to see sustained demand probably, right? So you got to take a look at what's happening, where the demand is, where the demand is not, and you got to kind of make those pivots, right? Jack says, it's a devastating reality for those in Europe right now. I'm hopeful, optimistic for them, however. And Peter says, thanks, Jack. Jack. I'm not so optimistic. Yeah, so folks, you got to look at where those opportunities are and make those adjustments and pivots, right? That's the point I wanted to make here on today's live stream. And the other tip I wanted to make is you got to reconnect with your network. You got to reconnect with your. This is a great time to reconnect with your network, with your peers, potential hiring managers, potential hiring teams, recruiters, especially in those areas that you see, because you got to go out and do your research now at this point. Like what areas are going to sustain demand even through a recession, and you got to make sure that you're reconnecting with relevant people in those industries, those sectors, including people in your network, right? So that's what I wanted to kind of cover in today's segment. And the message I wanted to share is, look, don't let that negativity get to you, but at the same time, you want to confront the reality of how we might potentially be heading into a recession. How you're going to arm yourself with the ability to ride it through, make pivots and adjustments, and come out stronger on the other side of it. Peter says, the opportunity in the energy sector, I'll be a negotiator between Russia and Ukraine. Okay, all right. Right. And look, the other tip I want to share, it's a great time for you to brush up on your resume and interview skills, right? It's a great time for those of you who might have currently been employed, who have been happily employed over the past year or so during the pandemic and all that, now might be a good time for brush up on your resume and interview skills as well. And finally, folks, look, don't lose hope. I'm not the point of this live stream is not to spread negativity or anything like that. Like, you got to confront the reality of the situation, but at the same time, you gotta stay positive. Don't lose hope. Don't lose hope. Keep taking action. That's gonna put you in a better position, regardless of market conditions. Right. So confront the situation. Confront what's going on out there. Do your research. Research where the opportunities are going to be sustained. See if you can make pivots into those areas, and those are the areas, those are the industries that are gonna have the job opportunities even during the recession. Because just because there's a recession, I've never seen it the case where 100% of every company and organization out there puts a halt on their recruitment. No, there's gonna be recruitment opportunities. There's gonna be job opportunities out there. You just gotta look for where they are, and that does take some research and effort on your part, right? So with that being said, I guess there's no other questions really in the comments. So I'm going to end the segment shortly. But I also wanted to, again, remind you folks, again, PMI Lakeshore Ontario chapter is holding that event. I hope to see you at that segment. And again, if you want the link for the registration, again, it's if you go to my LinkedIn profile, it is in the featured post in the featured section of my profile. And I'm going to be covering how you can more effectively manage your communication and interactions with recruiters. It's going to be a great session. And again, it's not just myself. There's going to be a whole bunch of other amazing speakers and career coaches present. My session is going to be the opening keynote. I'm going to be speaking at 10 o'clock. But the entire event goes on until 3 p.m. Eastern time zone. And it takes place this Saturday, September, I believe that's, September 17th. But the deadline to register, again, is tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern time zone, right? So make sure you register before then if you want to attend. I look forward to seeing you there. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be fantastic. Would love the opportunity to interact with you folks and share the information I wanted to share in my presentation, right? So I hope to see you there. If you want more information about any questions about that, feel free to reach out to me as well. But with that being said, I appreciate everyone tuning into today's segment. I hope to see you for next week's segment, 11 a.m. Eastern time zone. And I think this is a great way to end the segment. And Peter perfectly sums up my message for today's segment. And that is prepare for the worst, hope for the best. That's exactly Peter. And look, hope everyone is doing great and fantastic. And I'll see you around next week, Wednesday, 11 a.m. Eastern time zone. Everyone have a great week, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.